resonated with you that want you to further want to know about a company. And that can also be a turn-off, where guess what? My first moment of truth is coming in contact with such individuals, and it was a total turn-off. So for business like mine, it is difficult to sustain, but it is doable with the right connections, with out there talking about your products, talking about your services, and connecting with people, because it is a people. It is people who connects people, and you cannot be selfish in your operation. If you are not good at something, because if you visit my website, rc7mc.com, you will see a part of the strategic process is partnership. So if I were to get a job to do something that I am not an expert in, I might know someone who is an expert, and then I would be the company getting the contract, but bringing in someone else to execute through partnership.
Hi everyone. In terms of the incubators and accelerators, Dan, that you see in the US, what similarities are there to Hypercube?
Yeah, so there's a differentiation in my mind between co-working spaces and entrepreneurial hubs and what we call accelerator and incubators. So I would say Hypercube Factory is similar to Packard Place, which is the hub or the entrepreneurship center. What makes commonalities for accelerators or incubator programs is you have to apply to get in. So competitive application process in the front end is a key differentiator of what makes accelerators different. And so, for example, at Packard Place, I mentioned we have 100 plus companies in the building. I don't mentor 100 plus companies. I couldn't possibly do that. I mentor the companies that have applied and gotten into the accelerator program, those 10 companies. That's where I focus my time. And so it's competitive application process to get in, really structured and really intense, day-to-day, week-to-week mentorship, and then some what I call graduation day at the end. So you get up on stage and you present what you've learned in the 12 weeks, assuming it is 12 weeks, and present it out, and we fill the room full of angel investors or accredited investors or private equity folks, anyone we think can help move their business forward.
I think I was asking more in terms of just entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, you see a lot of the similarities between, you know, what's happening on the other side of the world and what's going on here in terms of the people and what they're doing, and the passion and the ideas and things like that.
Yeah, I do. Thank you for clarifying that. It's interesting. I said this earlier today, I think, that I see a lot of Charlotte in Harare, which is mean to say that I think it's in a very similar place to where Charlotte was 4 years ago, that there are a lot of the same positive elements sitting here in Harare and Zimbabwe, which is you look at the collective talent, even in the room just here today, most of these people had not come to Hypercube Hub before, but a large base, a critical mass base of really talented, passionate, well-educated entrepreneurs and people driving to do that, which I think you need to get critical mass in a community. You all have that. I mean, you're a city of almost 4 million people, right? So you have that here. You have different centers. A lot of all the right elements are here. And I think what needs to happen as the next step is developing the culture as one startup community to do that. And that's what Brad Feld is going to talk about later at 5 o'clock too. His whole idea of how Boulder, Colorado did that, and how he believes that blueprint, and it's the same blueprint we used in Charlotte, can be implemented in any city in the world if the people in that city are willing to take up that mantle and fight forward. While we're waiting for a question, I want to add one thing to what Rickson said about his business, and we're talking about how you differentiate as an entrepreneur. I have a term for what he does. I call it, or other people call it, a branded customer experience. So whether you're selling a service or you're willing to sell a product, do you create an experience that is so unique to you that it creates differentiation in the marketplace? And so I'll use an example of a friend of mine in Charlotte who runs a small company called Nova Office. And he does one of the most basic things in the world. He literally makes copies for law firms. You know, law firms create this huge volume of paperwork. He has an office where there's 12 copiers and 12 people standing there feeding in paper and making copies of stuff all day long, right? It's almost as commodity as you could be as a business. That's all he does. When now he's digital, but so that's all he did. And the way he grew his business is he knew that the office managers in law firms are the ones who shipped out those work orders to determine which copy center was going to get it. So he put in a small oven in his office and he baked warm chocolate chip cookies. And every time they delivered the boxes to the office back, they would take the office manager, the decision maker, the lowest person on the totem pole, they would bring them warm chocolate chip cookies. And so they got this huge volume of orders, tens of thousands of dollars of volume by bringing chocolate chip cookies in. And you need to figure out what is your chocolate chip cookie equivalent that creates and just makes your experience that much more unique.
Captain, this question is directed to all the three panels. Do you guys believe that there's some sort of pattern or formula when becoming a successful entrepreneur? Can the same pattern work in two different environments with specific reference to US versus Zim?
I think I'm gonna have a different answer than you guys. Do I think there's a pattern that like a formula that's gonna work? No. I think everybody's got their own formula and you gotta figure out what it is. I see people come in, I watch people come in who tell me they've got 20 years of experience behind them, they're gonna go smash it out of the box, and then they fold within 6 months. They can't handle it, they have to go under, and their business is gone in 6 months. I watch somebody else who has zero experience in the industry come in, they've got this really great idea, They say, I'm going to break all the molds. I'm not going to do it how anybody else has been doing it. And then they're still successful and they're still growing. So no, I don't think there's a formula, but I do think what Dan said about finding that something special in you is what's going to keep driving you forward and what's going to keep bringing people back. I always tell people it's about telling your story and how does somebody connect with your story. How do you make that story important? Because, so many other people may be doing exactly what you're doing, but they're not going to be doing it like you are. And being consistent with that. Always be consistent with your story.
And I would say, yes, I've seen similarities in the US and here in Zim. The similarity is passion. All of you as entrepreneurs are here because you're passionate about what you do or what you're hoping to do. If you are in the mental space where you're just a startup, when you are passionate about your work, they say then work is no longer work. You are operating. So I have seen the passion. I've spoken with quite a few of the young entrepreneurs here. And I myself am an entrepreneur because I said even though I have a day job, I'm in the process of building my own business. And if I am not passionate about what I'm doing, then guess what? It's not going to work. I have to be the driver, I'm the marketer, I'm the CEO. I can make my business, I can break my business, I can do anything with my business because the business is mine. And once you can put that work and you decide to put the work into the business, it might not be generating income and profit within the first 6 months or even the first year, because it's about getting the word out there, networking, talking to people, and getting the first client is the most difficult piece of the puzzle. So that is why relationship management, relationship building is important, because networking is what is going to do it. Someone who knows someone will tell someone about somebody who is doing something and make that connection. In March, the 18th through the 20th of March, I will get my first contract to provide customer service, to develop some customer service platform for a university in Washington, D.C. How that came about? One of my former colleagues who worked at my present university is now working at the university in Washington, D.C. I called him up. Hey, I have started this business, management consulting. Check out the website. Do you see any opportunities there at your university that I can provide? A couple weeks after, I got an email. Yes, we got a $46,000 grant to do a customer service training for our admissions team. Man, here's the RFP. Do the proposal, send it in, and that is it. It's the relationship that you've established, the relationships that you have built that can get you that first one. And when you have that first testimonial and that first reference to say that you have done this for X and Y, then you start moving.
Dr. Erickson, having noted the similarities, is there any possibility of you extending your company to Zimbabwe?
Thank you for that one. Not sure if it's a franchise, and I do not want to speak more so because we are multi-faith and multi-personality, nationality, etc. But personally, I'm a person of faith. And even before being selected for this program, after meeting Sam, and Sam came, when he came to the US, he introduced me by way of a book to this young gentleman, Michael Chiduku. He has written a book. He gave me one of the books at the university, and through conversation we met on Facebook, and we have been communicating. When I directed him to my website, as I always do, I said, do you think there might be opportunities in Zimbabwe for me to come and perhaps do some training, some development, all of that stuff? He said, I think so. But I wanted to come in December because some friends of mine were going into South Africa, and then I said, why not take the trip to South Africa and then jump over? It didn't work out. However, in December, I got the call, the email that I was selected for this program. So even before I would have known that I would have been in this space, I was already planning to be in your space. So absolutely yes.
I guess the one thing I would say about spaces and plans, and I made this comment before to some of you, I think the answer to that question is yes and no, that there's a plan. The no is this. I say this about Charlotte. That Charlotte could not follow another city's roadmap to entrepreneurial success. We couldn't become successful as an entrepreneurial community by doing what Silicon Valley did or Austin, Texas did. The same thing is true for Harare. You cannot be successful using Charlotte, North Carolina's map for how we became entrepreneurial successful. And in that case, I would agree very much with you. Every city, every community needs to find their own way and what works for them, what's true about their DNA, what resources they have, what competitive set they're feet to. Now, I'll say that yes, there can be a pattern, only in so much as there's some strategies and fundamentals that are similar. Like, and you'll hear this with Brad Feld, where he talks about things that all startup communities need. They need places to be able to meet. They need people who are bringing community together. They need people who put community first and their own interests second. They need communities to figure out what is the proper role for government, for university, for entrepreneurs, for private business. And so I think similarities like that can, but I think that manifests itself in very different ways in very different communities.
So while you've got the mic, it's my story. And this is an open-ended question to all of you. So I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of young guys, especially because I'm based here and I see them every day or I see them every week or whatever. And the one thing they'll always say to me is, I don't have money, so therefore I can't succeed. And I always say, well, I started this company with no money. I was introduced to an interesting term that I throw around every day or whenever I can, and I'm going to throw it in now, sweat equity. What does that mean? I mean, I'm sure with you guys, with what you've done individually or what you guys do at Packet Place, there's a lot of people who come in, and I mean, do you get people in, where you guys are from who complain about, I don't have the money, so therefore I can't? I mean, is that a big stumbling block, or have they found a way of overcoming that? And if they have, how have they done it?
I think The idea that you have to raise money to start a successful company is one of the great fallacies of global entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurs in Charlotte would say the exact same thing you all say. I will tell you, I successfully built 3 companies. There's this thing called the Inc. 500 list. Inc. is a magazine. They rank the fastest growing private companies in America. So I put 3 companies on that list. I've taken 0 venture capital or angel capital, ever. Never a penny. For those 3 companies, everything I've done, for my companies, I've never taken a cent of investment. And the way they do that, and I'll tell you, the best form of capital for entrepreneurs, bar none, is revenue. Because it's money that you've earned. It's better than equity investments, it's better than bank loans, and I know you have a huge banking liquidity crisis here, right? You couldn't get loans if you needed it. And so don't use that as an excuse to stop you from going and starting a company. And the same with lack of venture capital or angel capital that's here. Find ways where you can start companies where you can get that first dollar of revenue and put that revenue back into the company and keep growing it. The other thing that's interesting, if you look at that Inc. 500 list of the fastest growing entrepreneurial companies in America, I'm going to get the statistic wrong, but it's like 80+% of them have never raised venture capital financing. And these are companies that are the best entrepreneurs in all of America. So over 80% have never raised venture capital of the fastest and most successful entrepreneurial companies in America. There are certain business models where you need it, but most of the business models just don't need, they may need angel financing, but they just don't need venture capital financing.
I'm in a unique spot in the sense that I have the ability, or I don't want to use the word luxury, because I have a day job that I can actually in this initial phase to say I'm dependent on my business that I'm starting up to support my day-to-day living. I am able to use my monthly salary to offset that cost while I am building the company. So for me, the most I've invested so far is for some fantastic business cards and the website, the domain name. I develop the content, as I've said before, for myself, and it's just going out there and having conversation. So in a nutshell, and the registration, because it's LLC, $200 per year, and I'm sure that, no, I know that my first contract is going to perhaps be 3 times my monthly salary. So figure it out.
To elaborate on the finances, especially in the fashion industry, because I know there's some people that are tweeting that are interested in that as well. One of the biggest mistakes I see individuals coming into my incubator make, they get very excited to develop garments. They're a designer and they want to make 20+ ideas. And I ask them, I go, well, do you have $10,000 to invest in samples per garment? So you're going to start investing $20,000 into your company right away? And they're like, no. Is it going to take that much? I'm like, are you going to do it all yourself? They probably say no. So I urge them to pull back from the idea of going big and having multiple different ideas. Come up with one product that is going to sell and sell and sell and sell again before they start diversifying their line and developing more products. So find that one thing that's going to work really well for you and start using that as kind of your launching tool to invest in more products in the future, especially in the fashion industry, if that's what you're interested in.
So what product did you start selling?
So I started selling silk tank tops. So my niche is a higher end market, and they're basics. They're what somebody would come in, easily layerable. I live in Denver, Colorado, and in January you're going to see it be -15 all the way up to, we had 70-degree weather. So I found a product that would be something that somebody could put on and look great in it without anything else on top, or they could layer that garment, and it's easily changeable by just changing up the color. You know, so offer it in 12 different colors. I don't have to repattern. I don't have to redevelop something, and it's an easy concept. I don't have to help explain anybody how to wear it. They don't have to wrap it around their body and figure out something crazy. It's easy, and then have them connect to why